You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This episode is sponsored by Ingram Micro Security. Strengthen your security practice. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Keri Roberts, and my guest today is Christopher Wilkes, the Chief of Operations for the IBM Security Command, Cambridge. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Keri. Thanks for having me.
According to one study, a massive 77% of cyber attacks utilize fileless techniques, meaning that instead of tricking someone into downloading and installing a virus, the attacks were executed using vulnerabilities that were already there. What does that mean?
Well, Keri, cyber criminals often seek different ways to install malicious files on your computer, right? Fileless attacks don't work the traditional way that we're used to seeing attacks impact a user system. Instead, Fireless Malware is a lot sneakier in its activation of already installed software or applications that are on your computer, right? The malware is essentially hiding behind already installed applications and using those as camouflage. Once on the system, the malware piggybacks off of already installed systems or applications to start launching malicious scripts to launch programs on your system while regular programs are continuing to run. Your traditional antivirus software, right, works on your non-fileless malware, and it detects them as footprints or signatures on your systems, where fileless malware really leaves no footprints for antivirus products to be able to pick them up. Now, a few examples really of this is malicious code can be injected into applications like, Microsoft Word, Flash, Adobe PDF Reader, JavaScript, as well as even using Windows PowerShell, which is a trusted script on your system to go ahead and launch these malicious types of attack. And once they're in, the malware can abuse the legitimate system credentials. They can gain a persistence connection, elevate privileges, and then spread laterally across the network.
Well, that's kind of scary, is it not?
It really is. It really is. And there are some different things that organizations can do, right? Traditional antivirus really does not pick up the fileless malware, like I had said, right? But you have organizations that will deploy different software like an EDR solution, right? Which is really, will look at different behaviors of a system, right? And those are having some success in picking up your types of malware that are resident only within memory.
Now, in this world filled with so many security issues, I'm curious, what have you personally been noticing the most, and what are some of the biggest trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, great question, right? Cyber criminals, right, are always changing in the tactics that they use, right? A few things that I'm seeing, some of the trends is, right, I'm seeing a trend in cybersecurity spending, right? As we see privacy regulation acts continue to go into effect, like GDPR, which went into effect a couple of years ago, and CCPA in California, which recently went into effect. The regulations are pushing businesses and government agencies to be more sophisticated when it comes to cybersecurity, right? I mean, if you look at it and you scratch the surface, 76% of organizations plan to increase their cybersecurity budget. It's cheaper and better than paying a 20 million euro fine or 4% of your global revenue, which are part of the fines that are under GDPR, right? One of the other things that we're seeing is, we have to invest in human capital to bridge the cybersecurity skills gap, right? We see the prominence of the CISO rise within the boardroom. Unfortunately, the boardroom doesn't reveal the full picture. There are over 3 million open cybersecurity jobs that have to be filled, and fast, because the hackers are not stopping. And businesses need to protect their organizations as well as their customers' PII and other information, right? And as we see attacks continue more and more, there's really a greater need for orchestration and automation within your organization, right? Info security teams are feeling the pressure to do more with less, just like a lot of other teams and organizations are. But organizations need to think about the way that they can reduce the workload and to be able to help their understaffed teams without hindering productivity, right? With improved security orchestration and automation, security teams can really streamline incident response as well as the privacy response to deliver an automated, faster, and more flexible response to react to events and incidents that are impacting their organization, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem.
You said 3 million job openings for cybersecurity are out there right now?
That's correct. Depending upon what you read, it's anywhere between 3 and 3.5 million security jobs in the InfoSec field.
I'm just curious on a side note for anyone listening, if you're not in this space and you want to get in on it, like what would somebody be currently be doing that would be a great way for them to get into cybersecurity? Are they a developer, or what type of job would they currently be doing that would be great for them to transition into this?
Yeah, and when you look at it, right, the perfect candidate, right, you know, it could be somebody that has a technical background, right? But if they have the aptitude to be able to understand technology, right, and be able to look at things a little bit deeper and understand the bigger picture when you're looking at problems. Some of the folks that we're seeing that fill cybersecurity jobs really well are ex-military and first responders, right? Because these are individuals that are used to running towards problems, right? They're used to chaotic, fast-paced environments, right? And typically within the IBM Security Command, when we work with customers as well as Ingram, bringing their customers into our cyber range, we find that the individuals that perform best in this environment are those that have prior military experience or have had some type of a first responder role in the past.
I love that. For those that's listening, I think that's really important because I know one of the challenges for people coming out of the military is kind of finding that next role that feels like it really utilizes their skills. And it makes sense for you to say this would be a great opportunity for those that were in that space before.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the challenges in protecting your assets and updating your plans when it comes to an organization's security?
You know, there are so many challenges out there. I honestly, it's hard to pick where to start, but let's talk about a few, right? We're seeing a continued complexity, right, of the worldwide connected environments, right? As we see the evolution of cyberspace, right? The world we live in continues to grow and be ever interconnected, right? The economy depends upon vast quantities of digital data that's generated through financial transactions, communications, right? Entertainment, shopping, travel, online browsing, as well as hundreds of other routine activities, right? It's imperative that organizations continue to grow with these environments and take the necessary steps to be able to protect them as they continue to evolve, right? Because we're seeing a growing sophistication of cyber attacks, right? You know, online threats may be invisible, but their effects are very real. And interconnected systems that are globally accessible are vulnerable, right? As the scale of information flowing through cyberspace expands, so too has the value to corporations, governments, and those with malicious intent. Our data trails now leave much larger footprints than they used to across cyberspace, leaving us more exposed to these threats. We have to be aware of that and take the necessary steps to be able to protect our data. Because what we're really finding, unfortunately, is that a lot of companies are still not prepared for their organization's worst day when they do have a major cyber event, right? We all see breaches that happen on a regular basis and the impact that they have on those organizations and the individuals that have had their data stolen. Many of the risks and impacts of cyber incidents are shared between governments and the private sector, right? But the reality is it's often the private sector that's on the front line confronting these threats. There are organizations that are not prepared to deal with these major events. Mike Tyson used to always say, everybody is a fantastic boxer until they get punched right in the face. This is why, as a cyber professional, it's important that you train like you fight, right? You have your incident run books, your playbooks that are defined to help you on how you respond to crisis within your organization. You have to continually test these run books with your organization so it becomes part of muscle memory when you're responding to a major event that's impacting your organization.
And speaking of an organization's worst day, there was a few recent stories. Back in 2017, Merck Pharmaceuticals was under a cyber attack. And then a year later, LabCorp had one too. And the difference between them was that Merck was reactive and LabCorp was proactive. Can you talk about what happened with these two incidences and how they differed and why being proactive is better?
Yeah, no, I absolutely can, right? And when you look at them, they were really two different types of attacks, right? You know, Merck was part of the NotPetya, which was really a destructive malware nation state attack, right? That impacted hundreds of companies and cost well over $10 billion in damage worldwide, right? It was really a nation state attack that originated out of the Ukraine. And LabCorp was hit by a variant of SamSam ransomware, and there are different versions of SamSam ransomware, right? And obviously, Atlanta was even hit by SamSam ransomware back in 2018, right? And when we look at taking a reactive approach versus a proactive approach, and we talk with customers all the time about this, right? The important thing to remember is you need to get out in front of it when you realize there's an incident going on. Communication is one of the most critical things when you're responding to an attack. Organizations have to understand that really cybersecurity is a business problem, right? It's not just a cyber IT problem. And when we talk to companies about responding, we like to be able to talk to them about a concept that we call left a boom and right a boom. And this is a concept that we've adopted from the military, and it has to do with events leading up to a cyber event. And that's on the left-hand side of that boom. That is dealing with about your threat prevention and detection. And on the right-hand side deals with the crisis response after the cyber event has taken place, right? When you look at the boom event, really, it is really when you've really lost control of the event. It's out there, it is now public. And what we are finding is companies are doing more damage right of boom than the actual cyber event that took place left of boom, right? But when we look at organizations like Merck and LabCorp, a lot of it can become down to the transparency that the organizations have when they're communicating with their employees, their customers, and all of their stakeholders based upon how they've been impacted and what their recovery steps are looking like.
And, you know, that's why security culture in an organization, of course, always starts at the top. So how do you suggest organizations create one that aligns with their business? And then how do you bring that security culture into your home, school, and personal life?
Fantastic question. When we look at security culture, right, it really refers to a set of values, right, that really has to be shared by everybody in the organization, right? Getting security culture right within an organization can help you develop a security conscious workforce and promote the desired security behaviors that you want for your employees. we're finding some of our most mature customers are taking security culture to the next level. And, you have your computer-based training, cybersecurity training that you have to do on an annual basis within your organization, right? I know in IBM and in Ingram, right, there are computer-based programs that we have to do on an annual basis. But some of our most mature customers now are taking it to the next level. And what they're doing is they're putting out quarterly and monthly newsletters for you to take home and share with your family, right? Things like how to lock down your LinkedIn, how to lock down your Facebook, how to lock down your Instagram, how to talk to your children about basic internet security. Now, I'm a father of 2 teenagers, and I think this is a fantastic idea, right? I'm the fun sponge in my house, right? Your phone doesn't go upstairs and the laptop stays on the island in the kitchen. Number one, I know what bad guys are doing on the internet. And number two, I also know what teenage boys are trying to do on the internet as well. And I want to be able to keep them separate so I can go ahead and be able to protect them. The thing that I love about the training at home is that you are instilling at a young age a security culture that as your children and your loved ones continue to go through school and get into the workforce, security culture is going to be part of their DNA. Because in any organization, regardless of what your role is, whether you're marketing, sales, HR, legal, you have to become part of the shield, because it doesn't matter the amount of money that you spend on your security tools. If you can't stop an employee from clicking on a phishing email in their email or inserting some sort of a infected device into their computer, then what good are all those security tools that you're deploying within your organization?
No, those are some really good points. And I love that you're saying, it starts at the top, not only at an organization, but at home. And it's great that you're teaching your family and your children these things so that they can kind of teach others and take it with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just 3 weeks ago. I am doing something on the phone with a customer at my house, and my son barges into the bedroom where I'm working, and he was like, Dad, look at my phone, look at my phone. It's the bad guys. They're trying to tell me that I want a brand new PS4. All I have to do is go ahead and supply some personal information. He's like, but I know it's the bad guys just trying to get my information. And at that moment, besides getting married and my children being born, it was probably one of the proudest moments that I've ever had, because my children are starting to get what I'm preaching to them day in and day out.
Oh, I love that. That's like such a good teaching moment when the student gets it and they're able to understand and tell others. Well, I congratulate you on doing that at home too. That's really wonderful.
Absolutely.
What are you seeing happen as customers go from a tactical to a more strategic approach when it comes to their cybersecurity?
Yeah, so we're seeing the threat landscape change daily, right? And it really calls for a change in approach, right? From a tactical approach more to a strategic approach, right? When you think about a tactical approach, right, it's more compliance-driven, reactionary, right? And compliance-driven, in my mind, right, that can give you false security, right? Because compliance-driven is very much about, let me put that check mark in a box because we had different regulatory things that we had to comply with based upon the industry that we're in, right? What we're doing is the tactical side, it was very much old school about building multiple perimeters, right? Protecting all your systems, using signature-based models, right? Periodically scan for known threats, right? And if you do see threats, let's shut the systems down, right? What you really need to do now is take more of a strategic approach, which is more an intelligent, orchestrated, automated approach, right? Where you have to, unfortunately, let's assume constant compromise. Let's assume the bad guys are already in our environment. Let's continuously monitor activity. Let's be able to go out there and do active threat hunting that allows us to be able to prioritize what the high-risk threats are to our organization based upon the industry that we're in. Let's go ahead and start to look at using some user behavioral analytics to be able to help us better understand what's going on within our environment, right? And then it's a lot of it is about gathering, preserving, and retracing evidence, right? Because when something does happen, you have to be able to have that digital forensics, right? Just like you see the folks out in CSI, the field investigators, right, with police departments. The same thing happens within cyber, where you have to look at the different artifacts that are out there so you can retrace the steps and figure out how the bad guys got into your environment, what they did, and potentially what things have they changed and what things maybe have they potentially exfiltrated from your environment.
Well, that segues me to a question I have that's a little bit different, because IBM recently made security a little bit more fun, and they put out this game on their website called Cybersecurity Ops Terminal, a cyber breach game experience. And it's very well done. And if you're a game person, if you're a cybersecurity person, and as you're just saying, it's a great way to kind of test your skills and have fun. Can you tell us more about how it works and how people can play?
Absolutely. First, I want to say cybersecurity has always been fun to me. No, but in all seriousness, right? You look at what IBM has done in this space, right? Where the Cybersecurity Ops Terminal really simulates a nail-biting experience that is simulating a cyber attack that's happening at an international airport. It uses gamification, right, and really puts you in the hot seat as you assume 3 different roles as you go through the game, right? Each role has a different responsibilities and increasing difficulty as you make decisions as you go through the cyber attack process, right? We see many different companies now starting to use gamification to assist with, onboarding employees and customer engagement, but more organizations are also realizing the benefits of gamification offers for company-wide cybersecurity training, right? When you're in the Cybersecurity Ops Terminal game, you assume 3 different roles. You could be an IT analyst who's troubleshooting suspicious Wi-Fi outages, right? The next, you could be a manager that is tasked with recruiting and strategically deploying an incident response team. And finally, you could be a CISO level executive, right, that has to make some decisions and interact with board members, as well as potentially even have some media aspects interacting with a reporter, right? From my perspective, the game really focuses on 3 key areas, right? Speed matters. When you're in a real live cyber incident, things happen very quickly. How quickly and effectively you're able to address the threats matter, both in the game, but as well as it comes to the real world when you're protecting your organization. Right? And cybersecurity just isn't a technology problem, right? It is a business problem. You need input from legal, financial, HR, public relations, and other key organizations within your company, right? The one thing when we work with customers is I tell them, if you could have the best cyber IT response when you're responding to a major incident, but if you don't have a complete business response, you're going to fail in the way that you respond. And this is one of the things that we're trying to show folks as they go through and participate in this ops terminal game. And you can actually go ahead and continue and play it at home, right? You can actually find a link if you go to ibm.com/security. There's a link in there that'll take you right and launch the game. And you can actually be thrown right into the fire in one of the multiple roles that you can play within that game that's on the website.
Yeah, as I said, it's very well done. It's very well designed. So I encourage people, if you're listening, go and play it. And besides this game we just mentioned, what else does IBM Security bring to the market in the form of products or programs?
Yep. So IBM Security, right, offers one of the most advanced and integrated portfolios for enterprise organizations when it comes to security, right? The portfolio, right, is supported by a world-renowned X-Force research team, right, which enables organizations to effectively manage risk and defend against emerging threats, right? We have one of the world's broadest security research, development, and delivery organizations. As an organization, we monitor 70 billion security events per day in over 130 different countries. As an organization, our employees have also been granted over 10,000 security patents worldwide. And we're continuing to offer different types of experiences like the Cybersecurity Ops Terminal game, right, that allow us to better attract new talent into the cybersecurity field. It's one of the things that we do, as well as, in the IBM command centers, in our physical ranges, we will do events where we pull college students in to participate and capture the flag events, right? To be able to introduce them into the cybersecurity field, but as well as to be able to introduce them to what IBM is doing within the field of cybersecurity.
I love that. I love how IBM, we've had a few people from your team on this show really talk about how you're blending creativity with tech, because you have to have a creative mind in being able to be secure and fight hackers. So I love that the company is doing that. How does partnering with Ingram help you bring out the best experience for your customers?
Yeah, so Ingram Micro's vast security partner base allows IBM to be introduced to clients that we may not have ever had the chance to meet, right? Ingram works with so many of the vendors that IBM integrates with that they're able to bridge the gaps they see by exposing their partners and in turn their customers to IBM Security's best-in-breed products across the entire IBM Security realm.
And the one question we like to ask all of our guests on this show is, where do you see technology going within the next year?
Well, my response might not directly tie with everything that we've been talking about, right? But I would love to be able to see autonomous driving continue to gain momentum, right? We're not at the stage where we would expect to routinely travel in or even see autonomous vehicles on the road, right? But this space is continuing to generate a significant amount of excitement, right? With the majority of autonomous driving technology, right, we'll also start to hear about the measures that regulators, legislators, and authorities are undertaking to oversee this space, right? Changes to laws, existing infrastructure, and social attitudes are likely to be required before autonomous driving is going to be a reality for all of us, right? And, one of the biggest things as well from a technology perspective is I see autonomous driving continue to evolve and be supported as we continue to see the rollout of 5G. Right? The 5th generation mobile internet connectivity, right? It's going to give users super fast download, upload speeds, as well as allow stable connections throughout the world and allow more connectivity between devices and automobiles that will, of course, increase the need for more cybersecurity awareness within this space.
We talked about a lot of different things today within the security space. So if people have questions, they want to learn more, where can they do that?
Absolutely, right. So they can actually contact Austin Grange, and that's Austin, AUSTIN .Crange, CRANGE, at ingrammicro.com for more information, as well as a lot of the different things that I've talked about. You can refer to ibm.com/security. And you can also look at the 2020 IBM X-Force Threat Intelligence Index, which has a whole host of information of trends that we're seeing within the industry. A lot of this information can actually help you form your different security programs and be able to adapt what we're seeing coming forward in 2020 and beyond.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your insight And I love that you have so much passion for what you do, that you're even taking it home and sharing it with your family as well. So thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Keri. Have a great day.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSol with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Keri Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro Security. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production by Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today in your favorite podcast platform.